There he is. Terry Sawchuk, good morning, my friend.
Steve, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great, Terry. And again, I look at the housing market and inflation and I say, should I save money? Should I be investing money? Should I be hoarding cash in my mattress? I don't know. And I think a lot of people are confused. Thought we'd be in a recession by now. All indications were we would be. We're not there, but I've got some people screaming, stop, 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 waving red flags. Other people saying, go, go, go. I don't know, Terry. I'm just a guy trying to figure it all out and my head's spinning. Help me out.
Well, there's a lot going on, Steve, and unfortunately, we kind of live in a TLDR society. Too long didn't read, and so as a result, we started talking about recession a little too early. I think we're definitely heading for one. There's no question in my mind it's on its way. If you look at all the important leading indicators, they're falling off a cliff. Employment tends to be a lagging indicator. So from that standpoint, it's not surprising that employment still looks decent, but it's falling. And if you look at the employment situation, it's really kind of a tale of two cities. A lot of the jobs that are still strong are in the service sector, but a lot of the white collar jobs are the ones that we're losing. So net, even when we get into the recession, that of course that's going to change, but that's not a good sign. I think we're headed for a pretty big dip.
All right, so if we're headed for a big dip, you're talking about corrections in the market? Is that what you think? We're a market correction of a few points, 10 points, 15 points, something like that? Energy prices remain depressed. And so energy prices remain depressed, keep us in a pretty good place as buyers. But, all of these things are interconnected, right?
Yeah, so if you just look at the big picture, the market has been a little bit disconnected, I think, from what's been going on underneath. And so, there's some interesting stuff with the options market that's been going on. So that's helped kind of push the market a bit higher. But as we start getting into the next few months, this is like what I'd call the third leg of the bear market. And this is where it could get brutal. And I think there's going to be a surprisingly large potential downside risk in the equity markets based on what we're seeing. And Steve, we could dip to maybe 35 or 3,600 on the S&P, but we could also dip below 3,000. And so there's a pretty big range there. A lot depends on, how long the Fed sticks to their guns here over the next few months.
Yeah. So we have seen the Fed indicating now that they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. Half a percentage point, 50 basis points up, not 25. But a full 0.5% increase in the interest rate again. Is that what you anticipate? Because I've been hearing that for the last couple of days, which is more. We kind of thought that inflation was okay, but it's only at 6.4%, nowhere near where the Fed wants it, which is down closer to 2%, right? What do you think?
Yeah, the target's 2. The target is definitely 2, and we're at 6. And frankly, the only way to get to 2 is to literally destroy the economy. So, and they may do that. You may see at some point a little wavering on the 2, and maybe you'll see some, Fed governors dissent and talk about maybe a 3% inflation rate, but we're not even close to there yet. So in the meantime, one of the other things that's been going on is that even though interest rates have been going up and the Fed talks about tightening, what we'll call financial conditions, the truth of the matter is the Treasury had been loosening financial conditions, and that's now changing. And so as we go over the next few months, one of the things that a lot of people don't know about is something called net liquidity. But the net liquidity in the market is drying up. And the money supply, Steve, for the first time in about 40 years, went negative. And we have not seen that. Even in the 80s, we didn't see negative money supply.
So what does that mean? I mean, for people like me that just don't quite, what does negative money supply mean to a guy like me just trying to make my monthly payments and get by?
Well, for you, I think as long as you're employed and you live, reasonably beneath your means, you'll be fine. Okay. Where it becomes a problem is that it's the lending markets, because at the commercial level, they borrow money, back and forth. Banks lend money overnight to one another, and then they take additional funds and they loan it out into the economy for all kinds of reasons. It's that portion that's starting to tighten up. And I would argue that as the liquidity conditions continue to tighten, it's going to push financial conditions down, but more importantly, I think it's going to push equity prices down, and they could drop a lot. So on our end, Steve, what we've done is we've raised a lot of cash. Money markets right now can pay you 4 or 5%. So it's not a bad idea just to sit in something that pays, in that range while you're waiting for things to kind of play out in the market to make this next leg down.
Yeah, so prepare. But for people that have mortgages or a car payment, or maybe they bought an RV or a boat or whatever they might have bought, you've got that extra debt. What would you suggest? I mean, there was a time back during the pandemic you could have sold all those extra toys for a lot of money. People held on to them. Now what do you do with that debt? Are we going to see a repo flurry? What?
Well, you're already seeing, we've got the highest auto delinquencies in a very long time. So that's a concern. And, obviously people bought cars kind of at the high point and they're probably underwater on the loans. So for some people, it's going to screw up their credit, but it might make sense for them just to walk away from that. I mean, I wouldn't suggest that's the best path, but sometimes it's your only path. Housing sales are down 37%. New mortgage applications are way down. I've got a friend who told me his top mortgage broker hasn't written a new loan in 3 months. So, there's a trickle down effect. Higher rates over a long period of time are going to materially affect the economy.
Yeah. And I know mortgage closers and so forth who have become unemployed. Terry Sawchuk, well, thanks for the good news, Terry. Greatly appreciate that sunny outlook. Greatly appreciate that. Well, honesty is the way we go.
Listen, don't ask questions that you don't want the answers to, buddy.
What are you, my dad? Anyhow, greatly appreciate it, Terry. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
See you, Steve.